Here we go, baby. We got this Hassan. So this is like something, this is from last week. There was a whole situation where Gideon had made his video about going to the most racist town in America. And I thought it was a fun video. It was cool. He went there and he's like, hey, the conclusion was like, hey, you know what? Not everybody, because, all right, this was all based off of a social media video where a white guy stood outside with like a BLM flag or a shirt, and everybody was being very like racist towards him and like the BLM movement in general. And so Gideon decided to go there to see if it was as racist as it seemed, and it wasn't. That's the reality. People got a bad rap. A lot of them were very appreciative that he came on there, et cetera, et cetera. Hassan made his take on it. Now, here's the thing, and this is something that Hassan regularly engages in. Hassan will make decent points to support bad points. So, for instance, he brought up the argument of like, hey, racism doesn't manifest itself in like, I hate so-and-so necessarily. A lot of times it's like the way that you might interact like differently from one person to another, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is that he uses that to reinforce bad logic. Like the first thing Hassan said was like, oh, I hope Gideon doesn't whitewash this. Oh, he's going to whitewash this. It's like, okay, so like to me, that's racist. You're telling a black man that he doesn't care about racism. Seems kind of shitty. Okay. And then you move on, and you're like, Gideon doesn't care. He doesn't care about this. He's just a troll. He's just a troll. And it's like, okay, these 2 points I think are shitty, and they're dismissive, especially since after Gideon clarified, like, hey, I am a black guy and I've experienced racism. Like, what the fuck? And Hassan's response wasn't like, hey, listen, I misspoke, my bad. He was like, no, that's not what I meant, actually. And then he goes on to like his bullshit, like white-splaining. This is what he's doing. He's crack-a-splaining on Gideon. That's it. Hassan probably doesn't particularly care for Gideon, you know, and he just had a bad take, and he didn't. I guess the problem, he didn't apologize for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where that whole thing blew up, and you know, things happen. I remember I talked about it. Then Keemstar talked about it. Then Keemstar DM'd me and asked me to talk about it, even though I already talked about it, which is like, you know, great stuff. And of course, on the Leftovers podcast, what was really interesting is that Hassan and Ethan responded to Keemstar. They made the focus about Keemstar and not Gideon. That's a big problem too. You have somebody who's like, oh, hey, you had a black guy. He's like, hey, I'm offended by what you said about me. And you don't even talk 2 days. I think it was 2 days later before this was reported. It was 2 days after Gideon was upset and made his public a video about it, that Keemstar made a video. That day, or maybe the next day, boom, right on Leftovers. They like, and Hassan didn't even talk about the Gideon's response at all on his on his Twitch. They waited until a white guy honestly talked about it. Now I know Keemstar's easy to hate, but like, why didn't you like listen to what Gideon had to say on your Twitch? You have nothing, like you have 8 hours of content where you just watch videos. Why not throw that video in there and be like, okay, these are decent points. I guess I could have been nicer here, because he doesn't care. Okay. So I think that there's a reasonable argument to make that maybe Hassan's racist. It might be more of like an or a subconscious bias. I don't really know, but at the very least, like he's kind of an asshole. Like you just kind of invalidated the black dude's experience with racism, and you're just like, you don't care. And you hide behind like, you know, being like you know, so like a leftist. And you're like, oh well, yeah, but I do advocate for black people, so I can be kind of racist. Like it's kind of like the racism of progressivism. So anyway, let's get this going.
Where Gideon went to some town in Arkansas, which is considered the most racist town in the USA, and basically interviewed a bunch of people. Hassan played the video without 2 seconds in, basically said a bunch of stuff, and so Gideon, hearing what he said, felt some type of way, and here are his comments.
That's basically Hassan and Abi, right? The reason why I want to react to this video with you guys is because I felt very, 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 very patronized watching his video, and then also reading the comments. Baffled, like, how are you gonna tell me? I've been a black man.
What I find so interesting is that there was one point, and they're probably going to show it, but Gideon said like he felt like Hassan was being more racist or treating him as less than the actual guy from like the KKK. And Hassan was like, oh, you're being stupid. Here's the thing. My response was like, oh shit, why do you feel that way? Like, why do you feel that way? It's weird. He's not saying that he is more racist. He's saying that he feels more patronized by you instead of a KKK member. That's something that should at least be alarming. Like you should be like, oh, I don't like that. Like, but instead of like, it's just ridiculous. And I know the reason that Gideon decided not to have a conversation with Hassan is because he felt like Hassan was just going to like roll over him. It wasn't really going to be worth it. Like, and that was what Hassan was probably going to do. You know, so it's just like, Because it's just he's just gonna be like, no, you're wrong. You're not perceiving it the right way. You're doing this. It was gonna be a bunch of that instead of Hasan actually listening to what was going on, and so it would have been like a waste. So
I've been a black kid, and now I'm becoming a black man, bro. How you gonna?
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna ban you from the chat because you're really annoying.
Tell me in my 21 years of life, I don't know what is, because I felt, bro, when I tell you I've not felt like this in my life, like, it's crazy, bro. Like, basically, I felt like they were telling me how I should feel.
Yeah, get used to that. Now that you're in the art sphere, you're content creating, you're going to be around a lot of left-leaning people. You're going to be around a lot of people who think they know better than you. Even if they're white, they're going to tell you, no, as a black man, this is what you should feel. As somebody who's been in the arts for the last 12 years, I've heard it all, which is why I'm like really turned off by these people. That's how they operate. Under the guise of, I know better than you, and I'm here with empathy and kindness, and I'm here to save you. They will tell you how you should feel. They will gaslight you into thinking you're supposed to be outraged when you aren't, and they'll tell you, wait, that's not a thing. When it's like, who made you the fucking arbiters of what's right or wrong? That's been my experience with these kind of super progressive types. Just get used to it, because you're going to hear a lot more of it.
As you guys can honestly tell, we're not from here.
That's all right.
I'm from Atlanta, you know. I'm one of the best rappers coming out of there and everything like that. We've heard rumors that this is the most town in America, but so far, I'm not gonna lie, it's been like one of the nicest places.
Do you guys want to table or big?
Actually, let's go with booth. My booty's kind of hurting, so I need more
Yeah,
cushioning.
I need some cushion. That's all right.
But I'm not gonna lie, they're not really like fitting our narrative.
You're like, man, this is the coolest town in America.
Hey, can I ask you a question? How long have you lived here?
16 years.
16 years. And, like, how do you like it?
I like it.
They said that this place was like the most town in America, but like what have you seen here that you would like deem maybe?
Out in Zeke, which is probably like a 20-minute drive, the leader of the Ku Klux Klan or whatever lives out there.
So this isn't the racist town, Zinc.
We have people, of course, but you're gonna find that everywhere.
True.
I don't know why Americans have such a twisted and broken fucking understanding of what is, which is.
And it's like always Americans, as if like this is only an American thing. I don't know why Americans are so fucking stupid when it comes to like, dude, what are you talking about? These like racism manifests itself differently in different countries, but like everybody has a general same understanding of America. It's so bizarre. It's always like an anti-America weird perspective. Like every time we talk about something, it has to be a shot at America. Like that's his entire moral foundation, you know? Because there's no racism in like Turkey, you know? Like there's probably no racism there at all. All right. It's just crazy. It's just like, it just doesn't make sense.
Weird. I mean, I know Gideon doesn't give a shit because he's like, you know, he's a content creator first. Like, that's what.
I mean, no, I do give a shit because, you know, first, I'm a black man. Like, it doesn't matter how many followers I have or what influence I have. First thing first, I'm a black man, you know? Like, not everybody in the world knows who I am, you know? When people just see me walk down the street, I'm just a regular black guy. So, first thing I do care. And then second thing, I care about my people. I love my people. I love being a black man. I have no shame about it at all.
You know what's interesting? Because I talked about this and I made an argument. I said I think it's really interesting that like this is you know, here's my argument that I made. I made this argument and I was like, wow, this is actually really interesting and kind of cool because Gideon's like obviously he's in like the troll sphere, right? So I made the false assumption. That's what I've been told. That like I made a false assumption that most of his content, like the people that watch this shit are like white. So like this is something that would like be very revealing to white audience. And then people were like, you know, Papa God, there's actually like a really big like black community on I guess like Twitch and like YouTube and like Gideon's part of it and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, most of his audience, like there might be a lot of white people, but it's not like a majority white audience, if that makes sense. Like they're not afraid to talk about black issues and shit. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. You know, you learn something new every day. So I just wanted to talk about that.
And I love my blackness and I love.
There's just something funny about a black man trying to convince a white man he loves black people. That's how bizarre this world is.
Well, in Hassan's defense, the only black people that he talks to are like Christian Walker, who don't give a shit about black issues. So, you know, so that's the only black people that he knows. So, of course, he just doesn't get it, you know? I think he thinks all black people, I guess, that don't agree with his rhetoric are race traitors or something.
I don't care about black folks. It's like, no, I love. Why am I just to my side? To this fucking random.
To who? To Hassan.
Hassan Piker's the same person who says he cares about trans people but tells them to shut the fuck up when they have an opinion.
Because
because you're just a trans person.
Hassan's relationship with the trans community is interesting. He once lost a trans-related debate, and people in his community were rightfully upset with him because they felt like he made them look bad.
My issue as a trans person is the fact that you, a guy that isn't super well versed on trans shit, brought on an.
Bro, I guarantee you, they have like a folder now. An Admin Preach have a Hassan folder for all the clips that are relevant to like when they're going to talk about it. This. They're gonna like assassinate Hassan with like precision with these.
Transphobe, knowing he might bring up transphobic shit. You aren't exactly a Vosh at trans debates. I hope that the rest of your life is as horrible as it is every single.
They were so nice. They were so nice. They were so nice about it, and he has an absolute meltdown.
Day. Okay, there you go. Suck my dick.
Hey, Willie Mack,
despise
bro.
you. I despise
Willie Mack
you
show.
more than anything else on the planet. You are fucking cancer.
They throw him in
You are
there.
just a trans person. Sorry, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
See, I always tell y'all, be careful of these fucking progressive people who try to fight your bill. There's obviously people on the right who hate minorities or hate, fine. But these people who've come under the guise of wanting to help you, what was it Malcolm X? Was it Malcolm X?
It was Martin.
Martin Luther King?
I thought it was
Martin Luther King and the polite racism of white liberals. He warned about this for a long time, where people come under the guise. This has been a thing forever. It's not new. It's not brand new. It's been around since the good old days. Just because they lean left, don't mean that they for you or they understand you or they know better. But they'll convince you they do. And that's the same arrogant attitude that a lot of these guys in progressive circles take.
It's so interesting because a lot of like black people that I've talked to, they're like, yeah, that in some instances they don't prefer conservative racists, but like they know what they're getting. You know, that's like a common argument. It's like at least I know what I'm getting. You know, if you got like if you have a fucking Confederate flag hanging, I know what you're getting. It's a keep away sign. But with like white progressives, like liberal individuals who pretend that they give a shit, it's a whole different case. Like, how do you spot them, right? There's nothing that you can see that you could spot them. You can't be warned. You know, it's fucking crazy. It's like the thing with like the Democrats don't give a fuck about black people. It's just that they know they can get the black vote, so they could, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. So they give like the bare minimum. Like the only reason like the Civil Rights Act passed in 1965 was because we looked really fucking stupid and hypocritical trying to spread freedom in Vietnam. When black people weren't even equal in America, you know what I mean? So it's like you're not getting any, you don't get something for nothing, you know. You're not becoming equal for the kindness of the hearts of white liberals. I just want you to know, or those in power. It's beneficial to them.
What he's always worried about is making fucking clickbait stuff and doing comedy or whatever.
He's just a grifter to Hassan. Are you fucking kidding? He's just a grifter. Gideon's just grifting. God forbid, it's possible to make humorous content. And using that humor as a vehicle to like talk about racial shit sometimes, like that seems to be what Gideon was doing. So
it doesn't really matter what the like message is overall, but that's not how this works. Like, isn't just done.
The video is 2 minutes. He's in the video 2 minutes and 34 seconds, and he already judged what the entire video was. He literally just judged what the entire video was.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna operate, and now he's going to bad faith every argument and everything that Gideon presents to double down on his narrative. So he's going to go through mental gymnastics to do that instead of like listening in like an impartial or an unbiased way.
That's what he does.
And he'll complain if you clip him. It's kind of how these things work.
He literally just said, I was just there to get a clickbait title and make some shitty jokes and do comedy and stuff like that. 2 minutes into the video. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. You could literally see by like the intro, the tone that I had set. So it's just like, why are you already jumping to the conclusions of A, like what I went there for, and then B, how are you gonna like sit up here and tell me how I should feel about a town that A, you just probably figured out about.
Oh, thank you so much for the sub, brother.
Talmate just resubscribed for 2 months.
Thanks, brother.
Sending love to the gut.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And B, a town I know for a fact you never stepped foot in. You've never been to Harrison, Arkansas. You haven't.
Yeah, you remember Hassan? There's a point where Hassan was like, "I put myself in danger all the time." Like Gideon was like, "Bro, you're not out here doing the groundwork," and Hassan's like, "Well, I put myself in danger of my family all the time." It's like, bro, what do? Go to the fucking Met Gala? Shut the fuck up. You know, shut the fuck up. Like, get the fuck out of here. This guy brought a $3 million house. He's pretending like what danger? The danger of people not liking you and sending you like death threats? Like, what are you talking about? You bought like a $3 million house. You have a fortress. You'll be fine. Like, you're full of shit. This like. He's going to the most racist town in America. Like, this could have actually been dangerous for him. But like, you feel the need to be like, I also put myself in harm's way. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, such a baby.
Locals there. You haven't talked to the minority locals there like I did. So it's like, how are you gonna sit up here and tell me like how it really is?
From all places, why here?
Bro, I mean, everybody's saying that this is the most like town in America.
Supposedly it is.
But it's been like chill. Like,
it's chill. I love it here actually.
This is not made up. The KKK keeps neighbors with their fucking leader.
Yeah. Really? Damn, you think they would like beat my ass if I like showed up?
Honestly?
Nah, they don't.
I don't know.
Like,
I heard stories.
So he's a current leader.
Yeah.
And he's cool people.
I met him. He's pretty cool, but
this is the man we need to find, y'all. Do you think it'll be dangerous if we go to Zinc?
He met him and it's really cool.
Probably not. Everybody just kind of tries to stay away from them, so people don't really have information on them. Their mindset is on trying to keep, it kind of whitewashed here.
Yeah.
I want more people to just get out of the hood in general.
All right, boys, man. So right now we don't have any leads on how we can get over to Zinc. So we're trying to see if we can find anybody that knows any people over there. So that way, like, we won't really be coming unannounced and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, that would be like really cool if we could get like an interview with the leader of the KKK. Isn't it crazy how like we went to the most racist?
I think the other guy did. What's the other guy's name? Nico? I did a reaction on like the Leftovers channel. I'll probably post this on the channel anyway. Right? You know what I'm talking about. Tell me who it is, and I'll look
in
it up.
America.
Actually,
But we're like looking for the racism. Oh, I thought it was a Confederate flag, but it's just the Arkansas flag. I was like, never mind. We found
Nico
it. Who knows
Amelia?
Tom Robb. I need to talk to him. We got some business.
I don't know how to.
Like, excuse me, man. Do you know Tom Robb by any chance? You don't. Do you guys know who Tom Robb is?
Walking around. Hey, do you know the most racist person in the world is? And I'd be like, yeah, of course. No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is what journalism is. You have to find the scoop. By any chance, you know anybody that lives in Zinc? You don't. Trying to have an interview with the leader of the KKK, Tom Robb. It's looking more and more like we just have to go out there. Attention, patrons of Walmart. I am trying to conduct an interview with Tom Robb. Does anybody know Tom Robb by any chance? Raise your hand if you might know Tom Robb.
So stupid.
That's wild. I'm not.
I ain't talking to you, nagger.
Oh my god, dude! They're censoring the word racism, but they don't censor that. That fucking blows my mind.
That's wild. I'm not gonna lie.
That was wild.
That was wild.
That was wild.
That is kind of wild that he's doing that. Like, I mean, he's actively trying to put himself in a situation where he is like physically going to be harmed, potentially.
You know what's so crazy? You know what's so crazy? I bet you all these people, when BLM was happening back in 2020 and stuff like that, they were reposting the black square and stuff like that, all that stuff, anything Black Lives Matter related, retweeting it and stuff like that. But I bet you these niggas would never leave their house, go into the field. Because how are you gonna stop racism if all you're gonna do is just cancel it behind the screen? Like, you can't, bro. You're gonna have to get down and dirty and get in the field and stuff like that.
Again, a lot of this activism is performative. Yeah. It's like, I got an opinion, I'm gonna be super loud about it.
Well, so here's the thing. Conversation can be like a really positive thing, even on the internet. Like, you can have conversations with people on the internet, and it can be positive, generally speaking, right? You're obviously going to put in more work on the ground. But, like, if let's say you're somebody who's engaging in, like, conversations about, like, Black Lives Matter with people, you can change their minds. The thing is Hassan is in that field, but he doesn't do that. He just sits down. He tells his audience very basic, like progressive talking lines, and then he refuses to have conversations because he doesn't really care. And then he seems to have a bizarre, disproportionate, like he seems to like have weird, like disproportionately. Oh my god, he seems to keep having issues with like black content creators. Like it does seem weird when like you having a disproportionate negative interaction with black people. It just seems weird. Like that would get into the conversation about like unconscious or subconscious like bias and like racism. Because like what happened with Tumed too? He said something about Tumed, refused that conversation. You know what I mean? But like if you're engaging and you're having the conversations, you could have a positive impact. Like you look like Destiny, for instance. You have the conversation with somebody, you can have a positive impact. If not, you're just speaking to your audience. And he's not even doing it in like an in-depth or an educational way. What is he doing right now? Watching the Amber Heard trial. Like, okay. You know, so like he's not even doing what he would do in his field of online activism, which would be have conversations with people, maybe try to de-radicalize them. Because when you're talking to somebody else, you're talking to their audience. So yeah.
I'll tell you what it should be in politics, but as far as what they actually do within their own communities or abroad, they don't care. That's why they buy themselves mansions and live in Beverly Hills away from all the fucking ills of the world. They don't.
He has beef with white creators too. I don't think that's what it is. I'm not saying that, like, first of all, I'm not saying that he is racist. I'm saying that by like his own definition, which is like generally true, is that there could be an aspect of subconscious bias there. I said he has a disproportionate amount of like controversy with black creators. Now that might not be true. That's just what I've seen from what I've looked at, right? Because like when it comes to like the representation of black people, like he seems to have like more negative interactions with black people than white people on a proportionate basis. Like, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like let's say we have this like 60% of people are white and like 20% black, whatever, but like it seems like there's more than 20% of representation of negative interactions with black people. That's the only point that I was trying to make. It could be wrong, but that wasn't saying that he has. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like I've expanded on it enough.
Don't live in any of these areas. They don't really interact with it. They try to distance themselves from it as much as possible. Yeah. Same with the fans. They just be there in the fucking live stream chats just typing away, but it doesn't mean that they're actually involved. So yeah, I won't take their opinion seriously, and I do think it's dope that there's a perception of a place and you're like, let me go out there to confirm for myself, not listen to what my parents told me or what the internet told me. Let me go see for myself. And I think there's something commendable about that.
Yeah. Even if you get a bag on it too, bro. Get to go there and make some money.
It is a little wild and crazy. I think it's dope that you want to investigate yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you when you went to Haiti. Mm-hmm. What did everyone tell you before you went?
Bunch of shit.
Good or bad?
Not so good.
And once you went, what happened?
It's great.
Same for me. People tell me, oh, Haiti's this here. I've been. I had an amazing time.
And we were in the middle of carfuffle.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the middle of a conundrum. I'm just saying that because you like big words.
Yeah.
And it was even that didn't change the perspective that I had. No, because I understood what people.
That's the problem. You can't really clown on Abba here because I think he's the one that does the video editing. So you're kind of nay-naying yourself there.
we're mad. Yeah. You understand? So yeah. So you have to go check for yourself. You have to go see for yourself.
Sometimes there's some things you need to see for yourself before you get out here and proudly exclaim such loud opinions without knowing. Or don't be criticizing people who do decide to go and make their own decisions. You get what I'm saying? Because they're actually willing to go there to confirm. Mm-hmm. You want to critique? Oh, you're fucking stupid. It's like, Beth.
Let's go see what's going on there. There are minorities that were.
So, but I mean, going out there for a couple of days doesn't give you an impression of their underlying beliefs. Just how many people are going to act that way. It does. So it doesn't really matter. There was one video that surfaced that made them seem like the worst, most racist town in America, where a guy was just standing still with like BLM attire on, and they were yelling the N-word at him. So like that is not an accurate representation. That is the representation of the town on social media. So he went there to see if it was as bad. It wasn't. This is like the problem. Yes, we understand that there's racism doesn't necessarily manifest itself as like I hate black people. But that doesn't mean like he was going there to see if it was like that, and it wasn't. That was where we were fighting from, which was like, oh, they're these horrible racists. And all he was doing is going there to be like, oh, it's not so bad. Like I said, like I even said it when I watched the video. I was like, this isn't necessarily how racism manifests. And then Hassan made the same point. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fair. Again, but Hassan isn't making that point to provide nuance. He's making that point to shit on Gideon by saying that he's a black person that doesn't care about black people and he's a troll first and he doesn't care about black issues. That's the first thing he basically said, that he's just trying to whitewash this video. He's basically trying to say that Gideon's just some fucking black guy dancing for white people. And then he used that actual real point to validate it. Because now you look what you're focusing on. You're focusing on the Hassan argument. It's like, yeah, the nuance is true, but you're not focusing on the way where he's like completely just shitting on and trying to invalidate the entire perspective of Gideon. Like, you see what you're latching onto. You're specifically latching onto like a valid criticism, but you're not caring about the other, like what the shitty thing or the bad thing that Hassan is saying, right? You're falling for it is basically what's happening.
There that live there, let's go talk to them.
Yeah.
And these niggas are calling me a clown. This is the cringiest shit and stuff like that. But I bet you if you ask any of these people, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm totally against racism. But if I was to ask them to come out with me to help like make a change and stuff like that, these niggas would stay right in their chairs, bro. They would not fucking leave their house at all. They would stay right in their fucking chairs and just watch behind the screen.
Yeah. How you doing?
How you doing, Chris?
Good.
Walk with me.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'll go with you, bro. Let's go to Gay Pride, Gideon, together. Let's go to the Gay Pride Festival in New York together. How's that sound? Like fun?
Well, with both of his sons.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't use my name. You know how?
It worked.
It worked.
Mayel.
It worked.
Mayel. Mayel. So
this
motherfucker stepped up there and he's like, yo, walk with me, let's talk. It worked.
He went there, open heart, open arms, and people seem to be embracing him from what I can tell.
Hey.
So, hey, good on him.
Yeah.
Like, if you call somebody out in your own hometown.
Yeah.
Not good for business. But what do you want him to know?
I don't know. We're not trying to know anything. Like, we just, like, me personally.
He won't give you one.
You don't think he will?
Brother, I could tell you some stories. How we used to have to cut the tails off black people when they was born.
Oh my god.
Stuff like that.
So do they have a lot of pull in this area?
That's what we call backwards pull. And see, right now, me doing this, I'm a sellout. To the hill folk. To the people around here, he's losing his pull. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People's getting educated.
That guy wanted to remain anonymous, but like his voice is totally like there. You know what I mean? So
also start to step out for once.
I've been around here, like, I've been seeing nothing but nice people.
The only reason I come up is because you got balls.
Oh, for asking that?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm like, who is this motherfucker?
You know, I'm not going there to change his mind. You know, like, he grew up believing what he believes.
So they have a church. And if you read your Bible, he was created by God shaping him out of clay and breathing breath in his nostrils.
Me too.
Yes, sir.
That's the white man. You are considered a beast. No different than a cow, a horse.
So they preach that, like, we were.
Yes.
Oh
my God.
That's the thing.
But wouldn't God have to breathe the life into the nostrils of horses too, or do they already exist? You know what I mean? Is God a colonizer? Did the horses and the animals already exist? And then God was like, "Fuck this shit. We're putting humans here," and then they destroyed the world. God is the ultimate colonizer. I just figured it out. Boom. Done. Boom. Gotcha.
Listen, these conversations are really hard to have. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hear some shit that you're
Godlanizer.
Not gonna like.
Yeah.
But in order to understand what's going on, I understand what is going on. They hate me. Yes, fair. I get you. But where it's from and how they were indoctrinated, you have to have conversation. Very hard conversation. Yeah. That's the thing that's very hard.
I never heard about the whole biblical thing where breath beat out of clay in the white, but you know, people say.
I thought that the guy was saying that he personally, like, he almost rewrote his Bible to say that he had the breath blown into him. He's like a son of God kind of a thing. Maybe I misinterpreted that.
This is crazy. Why would you even waste time with these people? I personally wouldn't do it. But there's a guy who goes on Joe Rogan often, and he goes basically converts folks who are part of
Daryl. Who was his name? Daryl.
Yeah. And basically makes it.
He collects the ropes.
Yeah, and basically
saying
takes him away from that. And they do change for the
Give me his name.
And he talks about.
What's that guy's name? What's the black guy's name? Tell me what it is right now. You know what his name is. Tell me what his name. I keep thinking Daryl Dixon. Daryl Davis. Thank you.
How they got there, and he takes the time. I'm not saying everybody should do the work or everybody should want to. I'm just saying there are people who are willing. Don't get in their way, and don't call them clowns. If they're willing to do something to change people to be better folks, why would you try to get in their way? You know what I'm saying? So me, I would never do this, but hey, I'm not going to say nothing. And I do think it's interesting to hear their perspective because
you know what's interesting though? Merle said the N-word on The Walking Dead. I think the N-word said like 3 times on The Walking Dead in the first season. Different times, brother.
it's not stuff I would normally hear. You talk about the hill folks. You talk about how he's losing sway over the town because people are educated. They're going to school. They don't care about that shit. So you're hearing how even how a lot of these ideologies don't have the same hold anymore that they used to.
And that's the thing is that whenever what you do is that you base yourself in just an article that says Harrison, worst town in America, and then you just go off of that.
Yes.
Why did he say that? Because he was racist. he didn't like the T-Dog. He was racist. Apparently, Carol was also supposed to die instead of T-Dog. What should happen? What should happen, brother?
How can you blame the media for so much but rely on what the media is saying and for stuff like that? And then you don't go out there and look it for yourself. You don't go out there and find your information for yourself. And that's what he's doing. So I'm not saying, again, like Abba said, I'm not saying that I will necessarily do and go out there, but he's doing it, and he sees from the people that are working there, not only that are living there, not only the minorities, but also the white people that are living there.
What if y'all and y'all friends come by, scoop me up, and we go drive up there together? How fast can you get this all set up?
Right, we got you like 30 minutes. We got you.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So he's taking a bunch of local school kids who were willing to go with him, a bunch of white kids, and I'm going to go up together with him to the Ku Klux Klan.
And they went to speak to him prior.
Got to use them as shields. Honestly, though, the reason that the guy probably didn't want to talk to Gideon was probably because he just got finessed by Nico just before. So.
Yeah, no, they went to speak to him prior to see if he would come out to set up the meeting, and he's like, let's just all just drive up together.
You guys tell your parents what you guys are doing, right?
Yeah, they're cool.
Oh, okay, good. All right, they told their parents, so don't get mad at me. Mom, I'm going to the KKK headquarters right now. Mom, it's bigger than black and white. I love you, Mom. All right, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm about to meet the Grand Wizard. I gotta go.
This is what he said. I remember just
the retired Grand Wizard. Okay. Also, bad retirement plan if that's where you have to fucking stay. You know what I mean?
Hey man, I made my dad heart skip. It's saying like, are you going to let's?
Oh, Gideon went first. Wow. I guess he was too dark skinned or something. No, you know what it was is because that would be from his perspective. Not mine. That's a little joke. Probably because Nico pretended to be with the BBC. He went with like a whole I'm with the big black cock, of course. I'm there with the BBC, and we're doing a thing on how KKK isn't so bad. And the guy fell for it. I don't even know fucking how you could be that dumb to fall for that, but the guy fell for it. So.
Because I was supposed to go to Lithuania to perform for the troops, right? Like, are you going? And he's like, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going. But on June 2nd, I'm going to prison. He's like, what? I'm like, no, I'm going to perform for the prison. I'm like, yeah, you can leave now. You can leave.
You thought you could leave?
No, you don't. Yeah, you can leave now. The way you know exactly what the hell you did when you said that like that.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you be nice.
You can get the fuck out.
I think it was the accent, the British accent. Maybe. Probably a lot of factors.
I think we were going to visit a lost tribe.
Yeah. Oh shit, we got some people right here. Hello.
Well, how do we know if Nico was or wasn't lying about the BBC? Because does he actually have a BBC? You know what I mean? That's the question. And unless you could prove that you do, then how are you going to say you're sent from that organization? I think that's a fair criticism to leverage.
How you doing? Okay. I was trying to see if Mr. Rob was maybe here. No. I'm a YouTuber. My name's JiDion. I was just wondering if we could have maybe a little dialogue with Mr. Rob if he has any free time and stuff like that.
Right now, he's getting different stuff together for the conference that's coming up.
Conference,
so.
I heard about that. Can I ask what that conference is about?
Faith and freedom.
I don't know if
it's fucking crazy though, dude. Because Gideon has quite a bit of cake going on here. So just saying.
Coming up. So
I heard about that. Can I ask what that conference is about?
Faith and freedom.
I don't know if there's any way maybe I could come.
Oh, Nico is you said biracial? Okay. I guess that makes more sense.
No.
Especially not.
Nah, feel that.
The paranoia some people have.
Man, we aren't anarchists. We just came here, it's America, you got the First Amendment, freedom of speech and everything like that.
Actually, I don't believe in that because if you have someone who can lose their job and their ability to support their family that they love, where they might have been brave enough to speak up, they won't put their children in.
It's true. I'm really upset that I lost my job for screaming the N-word at somebody. It really upset me. I was like, come on, I need to support my family. What about my... I mean, listen, you should be able to have your ignorant thoughts. I mean, everybody has ignorant thoughts. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where we should be able to try to replace those thoughts by talking about having the conversation in the right way,
Your wife at risk.
So do you feel like here the truth is spoken?
I would say as much as can be.
From the videos I've seen online and stuff like that, I'm sure you've seen them.
Yeah.
You know, I was expecting to just like, you know, step right foot into town and then call it the N-word, but...
If you can make you feel better, I'll try it for you.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ.
This motherfucker got jokes.
That's fucked up. That's funny. That's fucked up, but that's funny.
Hey, if you want,
Hey, you looking for racism? I can help you.
I can help you. I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, do you want me to help you?
Johnny, go on, get the banana.
And my rifle.
I hear people, they were like, nah, the racists aren't in Harrison, they're over in Zinc. And they were talking about how like they like kind of kicked you guys out of Harrison.
No white person, for the most part, moves to seek out diversity. They'll give lip service to it and move as far away as possible from it. Put up gated communities. Spend
What?
their...
What do you want? What? That's
Kind of true. That's what you did, Hassan, isn't it?
literally what you did, Hassan.
I'm sorry. It's true, though. This made me laugh right after I said it. Well, I guess they technically said it first because it's their video, but like, yeah, dude, didn't you do the same thing? If you fucking went to like a rich, like an affluent, like, you know, area. You know what I'm saying, dude? So I'm just saying, bro.
It's your fucking home in Beverly Hills, stupid.
You gotta do this.
Listen, hold on. You don't need to like the man and what the fuck he's saying, but he's absolutely right. White people will talk and cry and say all this shit about fucking diversity. The areas they move to are predominantly exclusively white.
Or
it's kind of true. Yeah.
They will move into a place where there's diversity and whitewash the fuck out.
Yeah, gentrification is a thing, and it's not white conservatives doing it.
Good. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I'm just kidding.
Okay, it's white liberals.
I like this neighborhood. Let me do a shop here and raise the prices. Come on, now, man. That's your house. Come on now.
Let's keep it a stack.
It's fine, but let's.
Me personally, like I agree to a certain extent and stuff like that. You know, as black people
in general too, like it is something to bring up that like people in general tend to like segregate themselves, and I'm not saying that black people segregated themselves during like slavery, but even now you see like a lot of like everybody does it. Like that's why there's so many fucking annoying Italians on Long Island, because Italians kind of like came here and then they kind of implanted themselves in like more Italian areas. Then you have like different like Asian areas. People tend to like they feel comfortable around their own people. Like whether people want to say it or not, it's kind of like the truth. People like black people will generally feel more comfortable around other black people, white people around other white people, Asian people around other Asian people. It's kind of it's just part of like our very tribalistic nature. Is it rational? No, it's irrational, and that's a good thing to talk about. But for the most part, people tend to like kind of gravitate towards an area where they feel that's true. Italians aren't people, so it's a bad example. But where they will feel more comfortable, because it's kind of true, man. Like, and it goes both ways. Like, if you go to like a very white area, they're gonna look at you weird if you're black. If you go to a very black area, they're gonna look at you weird if you're white. Okay, it's just it's just a reality. Okay, I remember talking to Freak the Gemini from TikTok. He's a good guy, and he's like, yeah, man, if you ever came here, you can't walk through here alone. Like, and he lives in like he lives in like a very black area, and I was like, okay, you know what I mean? You gotta. It's just a reality of the world. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, and obviously things are more complicated and you can involve systemic racism and whatnot. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, people tend to be like rather tribalistic. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Well, you know, we look out for each other. You know.
Yeah, you live in a very mixed area. Yeah, I actually used to live in like a pretty mixed area in like on Long Island. Like I grew up there. It was like whatever to me. I don't really care. You know, so now I live in an area that tends to be more white. It's only because like this is where my wife grew up and I moved into her house. So like, you know, but like it you know, it is what it is, dude.
It's like, you know, people say black power, they look out for black businesses.
Like I think my school was like 30% white and like 30% black and then like 40% Hispanic, I think it was. I think that was what it was. Or maybe it was 30% Hispanic, 30% black, 40%. Yeah, it was fairly mixed.
Like that.
I'm not a segregationist, I'm a separationist. Every white country and only white countries are expected to become melting pots of humanity.
And that's because like what? Whatever, my wife's dumb. Anyway, that's because most white countries have like most of the money because, you know, we've done some epic poggers colonizing. Okay, now listen, the past is the past, but you know that's why we have a higher distribution of the wealth. Because we used to, you know, we kind of slam dunked on other people and we took their resources. So that's why that expectation is generally there, you know.
And that's my stance.
Also, white people aren't fucking enough. So like other people like, hey, you know, we need more Hispanic people to come from the border because white people like, you know, we don't have as many babies anymore. It's just the reality, you know. It's probably because like people who have more money tend to not want to have as many kids, you know. So because they're smart, because kids are dumb and annoying.
Post-white genocide.
Dude, the funniest part is like, ask this motherfucker, like, how did that happen? You know what I mean? If you don't want it to be a fucking melting pot, which by the way, why is that bad? No, obviously. But if you don't want it to be a fucking melting pot, like, you know, don't colonize, motherfucker. And even then, it's like, well we got to do that, obviously. It's like,
he's right about that. I 100% agree. It's like black folks in America just didn't end up there. They were brought there. Can't be complaining about the fact that their existence is there and they're growing in numbers.
I know this is fucked up, but it's like one of those things where I remember somebody told me once, they're like, I really wish slavery never happened because then black people would have never been brought here. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like somehow being that person made anti-slavery more racist. Like it's like, Jesus Christ. Holy shit. It's like, holy fuck.
When the reason they got there is because of your ancestors.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have that reply because you wouldn't met that guy if he wouldn't have gone there.
That's fair.
So now the thing is, you're commenting not on his video, but on the views of that dude. But that part wouldn't have happened if that dude would have met them.
I'm not here to change anybody's mind or nothing. Like I said, like that's why I just want to I feel like the conversation should always be had because I feel like for there to be improvement into the future, you have to.
What's interesting is Gideon says I'm not here to change anybody's mind, but he kind of is. He's there to change people's minds that might identify with this guy based on like what's happening. That's why he's like, I want to have the conversation. I think it was like a slight, like he's not there to change this guy's mind, but like people who might identify with what this guy thinks. Because that's the reality. That's really how you de-radicalize people. Gideon's offering a spot for you to be like, yeah, I know you're racist, but like, listen, bro, I'm a black person that you hate, but I'm not so bad, and I'm here to have a conversation, and I'm being civil. He has to be more polite in order to pull people over, which is something that people shouldn't have to do, but Gideon's doing it. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's a good thing. Like, I don't understand why you'd be so critical of that. I think it's a good thing to do. You know, the point is to get people to listen, exchange ideas, and then say it out loud, because when he talks, he sounds dumb. So he says it out loud, and all of a sudden, it's like, that sounds weird. A lot of times people pick up on it, like, oh, it's weird. Like, he has a thought, and then he speaks it out loud. It's like, oh, that might actually sound kind of stupid. That's part of it, man.
They hear something different than your own opinion.
Yeah, he's not trying to antagonize him.
Get an assumption made about me, and they wonder if black people did something bad to me. Well, white people have done something bad to me, and I don't hate them either.
Yeah.
But it's never about that.
Yeah, this guy is somebody who grew up and he's indoctrinated by like an ignorant thought process, and you're never going to change his mind. He's already old and he's already thinking it, but you can change his kid's mind. Or people that are online with him.
It's a heavy certain.
Bro, Zoomers are unsalvageable, dude. I swear to fucking God. I know that people are going to turn around. Young JiDion fans are going to turn around and fucking yell at me and be like, he's black. You're not. What the fuck do you know about whatever the fuck? But like, God damn, dude. Just straight brain broken if you're like, oh, what a civil conversation. This dude's literally a fucking white separatist, man. He just said it.
Dude, what I'm talking about. Hassan doesn't value anything that actually matters. Like, the conversation has positive value here. And like, oh, Gideon's just some dumb fuck kid. He's just some dumb fuck kid. He's just dancing and performing for white people. He doesn't really get racism. He's just a troll. Explain to me how Hassan isn't being patronizing and diminishing of Gideon because he just thinks he knows better. That's it. Meanwhile, what does Hassan do? He yells to his audience, half of which most of them are young kids that don't really know anything. Which I know sounds like a little bit hypocritical, considering Gideon's also young. And they don't care about what you think. They just think you're funny. They laugh at the things that you say and do. You're like a comfort streamer. People don't take you seriously because you don't have serious conversations with people. You just say socialist things, and then you watch the Amber Heard trial and play Zelda. Like, that's all it is. Like, so it's like, Jesus Christ.
Said it openly. Like, he's part of the Klan. So unironically, turns into a great example of how is insidious, but so apparent and very much a part of people's lives, because like, if your takeaway from this is like, oh well, look, actually they're not that at all.
That's not what he said.
That's not
what he said. That's not what that's just not what he said. He just
I don't think that anybody's takeaway from that was like, oh, I guess racists aren't so bad. I think that your takeaway is like, oh, this guy, my takeaway is this guy was fucking indoctrinated. From the way that Gideon presented the video where they were like feeding people information like black people had tails and had to have them cut off. It sounds like this guy's indoctrinated. He doesn't really hate black people, but he thinks less of them because of the way he's indoctrinated. That's pretty much what it is. You know, like, that's my takeaway.
Said that the conversation was going well. He's not being yelled at. They're having opposing views, but they can talk to each other. Yeah, his views are fucked up, but they can talk. That's what a civil conversation is. Doesn't defeat the fact that he's not racist or he's racist.
You can have civil conversations with people who have the most abhorrent views. That's it. And you can talk to people who have views that are absolutely disgusting. Doesn't change the fact that it's a conversation.
And a civil one.
Yes.
And it can be very helpful. It's like the overall narrative.
This video like, this guy's about to get hate crime for the fine. Here they are just talking kindly like, if you walk away and think that this is not the most racist, people can still look at this dude and say he's incredibly racist and they wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't change the fact that they were able to talk about it.
Still civil.
Something you've proven to be incapable of, by this.
True.
If your takeaway is like looking at a guy who straight up says he's a part of the Klan and is a white separatist, not a segregationist, and your takeaway is like he can, or not your takeaway, but like your takeaway should be that even a guy who's like straight up saying like, you know, that they're a white separatist can be polite to a black person to their face, okay? That does not change the reality that they're like violently and virulently racist.
Well, they're obviously not violently racist because he's not killing them. I think that you're dumb, but okay.
Well, I sort of like that.
So like you know, this is what I'm taking away from it. Just because he didn't, you're basically saying to me, what I like. This is how I personally feel. This is how I feel. Like, bro, like this isn't like factor. This is all opinion. This is how I feel. What you're saying to me is I don't understand basically what's going on in this situation. That I just had this was a 45-minute conversation that we cut down. That in this 45-minute conversation, I have no idea what was happening and stuff like that, and I need to relook everything. That's basically
that is what he's saying. Because again, in his head, he knows better than everyone. Dude's like a borderline narc the way he engages with stuff. He's convinced he knows better than everyone, even though he's not that bright when it comes to most social issues. And he has a condescending attitude to anybody who disagrees or doesn't share his take. That's who he is. He cries about, oh, I'm getting bullied online, folks. He comes for me. But the truth is, he just knows better than you, and he can never be wrong. So I get why it bothers you. You're a young man. You're not used to this stuff. What I'm going to say to you is that get used to it. Get very, very used to it, because white liberals be like that. They're the only group I've ever seen talk to me this way. I'm not even joking. They're the only group I've ever had talk to me like that. So I'm just always like taken aback sometimes, but I've already come to terms with it. I'm like, oh, that's that shit that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
So just know there's that. As far as your video goes, I think it's a commendable thing to want to do that. Is JiDion the most apt person to cut through the nuances of systemic issues and towns like this and the history? Of course not. But he has a huge following. He's speaking to a young audience, and at least he's bringing them towards a place of let's talk.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, because he said like is JiDion like the person to have like these really complex conversations about systemic racism? Basically, like most people aren't. That's not even criticism on JiDion. Like he has a personal perspective on it that a like white person could never understand. But what I find really interesting is I don't know, maybe FD Signifier could be. I watched some of his content. Pretty smart guy. I learned a lot from that video I watched. Maybe him. But if you do notice, you have a lot of white progressive people like Hassan and Ethan who pretend that they give a shit about social issues. But when do they platform people that would know what they're talking about? When's the last time they platformed just like a fucking black person that has like a deep understanding of systemic issues? That's all you have to do. That's it. But they don't do it. And part of it's probably because they're uncomfortable around black people. And part of it's probably because they might think that they just know better than most black people too. So, something to really just think about, bro. It really is, bro. It really is.
That's a great thing. To even get these kids interested in this stuff is already big. To get them to want to talk and to be civil with the other side, fantastic. I would argue that his audience is far more preferable to talk to than Hassan's audience. Undoubtedly so. Any day of the week, I would take that. So, props to him. Good video on his part. If you guys want, I'll put a link to both videos. But yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you want to say?
You said what you said.
All right, let's know.
Cool.
So if you're on
Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down in the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.